Call with Dan Tortora on site at Pizza Man Pub, 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville, New York. We are happy to be here with you. Of course, we're here every single month with your Bees, and tonight we are celebrating the Baldwinsville Bees boys lacrosse team. Please give the team a round of applause here in 2025. Show them some love. Show them some love. So, it is very loud in here. I feel like whenever we do lacrosse, it gets loud. You guys packed up this whole area, almost took out the exit here. So I am here with Dylan and Iggy. Happy to have you guys here. So we got Dylan Garcia and we have Iggy Lomedico. Show some love for Dylan and Iggy. Give them a round of applause, please. Okay. So Dylan, we're going to start it off with you. So why lacrosse? How'd you get into it?
So to begin with, when I was a little kid, my mom played lacrosse, so that's kind of the first thing that got me into it. So I started when I was young, and I love the sport, so I just stuck with it ever since.
So you said you got into it with mom.
Yeah.
So do you have anything to say to mom since she helped to get you there?
I'm just glad that she played lacrosse herself because it's a wonderful sport, and I've made so many friends, and I've had such a blast playing it. So I'm glad she played and got me down the path of playing as well.
Yeah, and for you, what's been the best part of playing lacrosse? What is it about this game that you love the most?
It's just such a competitive sport, and I'm a really competitive person, so that kind of satisfies my needs. And also just the connections you feel with your teammates. I've met some of my best friends playing lacrosse, so I wouldn't want to trade it for the world. It's the best thing out there.
I can appreciate that and respect that. Iggy, how are you?
How are you?
Doing very well. So Iggy, for you, when did it start?
So when I was about 7 years old, I first picked up a lacrosse stick. No one in my family has played, so they didn't really know anything about it, but I fell in love with it, and then I've stuck with it ever since.
You said nobody in the family had played.
No.
So are you happy that you're the torch bearer for the Lomedicos?
I'd say so, yeah.
Yeah. Why do you love it?
The team aspect and the physicality of the sport it's amazing.
So for you, when do you feel like you got like the hang of it, you got good? Because right when you first pick it up, was it like a natural, you just felt like you knew from day one, or do you have a moment where you felt like you just really got it?
I'd say I was average until about now. I think I really got the hang of it like now. Like I think lacrosse is like a 99% mental game. I've always had that 1%, but the 99% it was hard for me to grasp.
So 99% mental game. How did you get your mind right to be able to play this game?
I think just having more fun and just making more connections with some of my teammates. I mean, like these guys are gonna be my best friends for the rest of my life. So.
I love that. I appreciate that. Dylan, for you? So, Dylan, when you look at your history and your time, when do you feel like you picked it up? When do you feel like it finally was like natural for you?
Yeah, I would say definitely. I agree with Ig. It's definitely been the past couple of years. When you first pick up the stick, it's kind of all for fun. And then as you get into high school, you start realizing, all right, what do I want to do with my life? And that's kind of when I was like, I love lacrosse. I want to do this. I want to play at the next level. So that realization sunk in a couple months ago, and that's when I really started, working, shooting with all the boys, trying to get better, just really improve my game. So I think in the past couple of years has really been when I've kind of picked it up a notch, and a lot of the guys on the team have, just getting better, working harder. We all, especially with it being our senior season, we don't want to go out like last year. We want to go out doing big things. So.
And being a captain, right? So leadership to you means what? How do you define that?
A lot of people think leadership, it's just, guiding the team, making sure they're in check, but it's more than just that. It's really representing the community and making sure, your team is represented well on behalf of the community, And I think, Beeville Lacrosse has had a wonderful blessing of having great captains in, the past. There's so many guys I could mention, but I'm just kind of hoping to, continue that legacy of having great captains, great leadership, and just doing great things out there on the field.
Love that. Iggy, for you, how do you define what it means to be a leader?
I think being a leader is a lot of things, but most importantly, just like guiding your brothers throughout the journey of the season and on and off the field, just doing the little things, because the little things make the big things happen.
So that you heard Dylan talk about there's leaders that came before you guys that you look to. Is there a mentor that you've had that you want to thank right now?
Mentor, I'd have to say I was guided super well my sophomore year.
Okay.
I'd say Keegan Lynch.
Okay.
Is a big mentor of mine.
Keegan?
Yeah.
Why Keegan?
He was a leader and a brother on and off the field, and I mean we still talk today. So I mean we made that connection my sophomore year, and it stayed throughout my senior year.
All right. So shout out to Keegan. What about you, Dylan? Do you have somebody that you would like to shout out in the leadership world at Beeville?
Yeah, especially with me and Iggy being both on the offensive side, I would say Keegan as well. And I think some of the, whether it's in practice, making sure you jog to the end of the line or setting up extra shooting sessions to get better. I mean, he just all around, he loved the sport. He wanted to make everybody better around him. And you could see it got results. 2 of the 3 years he was on the team, he won a state championship. So I think he was just somebody who really kind of showed us now what it means to be a leader. And he's somebody I can only, thank for helping guide me through my sophomore year to now.
And we talk about tell me something good. Coach Wilcox, I was texting with him back and forth today. He said, I'm home with the family. I don't get a lot of time, so he's like, all the boys will be there. He's here in spirit. What do you want to say about Coach Wilcox? Something good about him.
Coach Wilcox, I mean, he's fantastic. He's, every day I love showing up and just going to work because of the coaching staff we have. All 3 of them are wonderful, and, they honestly form great connections with the players, and that's something that, when you've experienced a true bond with, a player-coach bond, it's something that, is truly special. So, I mean, Coach Wilcox is just so good at making those bonds with his players and making you want to show up to every practice, every game, and give it 100%.
I love that. Shout out to Coach Wilcox. What about you, Iggy? What do you want to say about Coach?
Just like Dylan said, Coach is a fantastic guy. He's a big family guy, but we come second. We're like the 2 biggest things in his life. And yeah.
Do you miss him when he's not around?
I'd say yes, because like he's such a big part of my life. Being on the team my sophomore year through my senior year, like we've built such a great bond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see if your teammates are listening, because they're all eating pizza right now. They're having their dinner right now. But Iggy, I'm going to stick with you on this. If you had to pick one of your teammates, when you first skydive, right? When you first jump out of a plane, that you have to have a trainer with you in order to pull the parachute and make sure you're safe. After you've done it a few times, you go by yourself. First time you jump out of a plane, which teammate do you trust to be on your back to pull the parachute?
Andrew Grossman.
Andrew, all right. Where's Andrew right now? Yeah. Andrew, put your hand up. Where you at? All right. Is that fair? Why'd you pick him?
First of all, he's yoked. Second of all, he's a very calculated human. He's smart, and strong, I guess.
Okay. Dylan, I'm going to ask you the opposite. Who do you think would mess up and when you jumped out of the plane would somehow confuse the parachute with a book bag?
I think it's a pretty clear answer. Jake Seafelt.
Where's he at? Back here. They're sitting at the same table. I love that. All right. Why'd you pick him?
Yeah, no, I picked Jake because he's kind of got a reputation for being a bit clumsy. Just look at him right now. He's kind of just known as a clown. So if anybody were to make a mistake, it'd definitely be him.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Dylan, I'm going to stay with you for this one. Which one of your teammates, if a cop pulled you over and said you had to sing your way out of a ticket, which teammate do you think would have the best singing voice, and what song would you want them to sing?
I'm going to have to give this one to my guy, Eli Doherty.
Okay, where's Eli? There he is. All right.
I think, I've been friends with him for a while, pretty much my whole life, and, I've come to learn that he's got a pretty beautiful voice.
Okay.
And I would assume that he'd be singing something like Jingle Bells Rock. He's a festive guy, so he loves his Christmas tunes, and
Okay.
So I think he'd do a great job getting me out of my ticket.
Jingle Bell Rock, yes? He agreed. Okay. All right. Iggy, back to you. Which one of your teammates do you think could run for president of the United States and not just win, but win in a landslide?
Tiernan Lynch.
Okay, why? Where is he at? There he is.
First of all, he's a great leader and speaker, and I think his policies would be great.
His policies would be great. What's the first thing you would want him to do? If he could pass any law, you get to pick.
Honestly, I have no idea.
There's
so many.
There's so many. If he could do something to affect Central New York, what would you want him to do?
Wait, can this be fictional?
Sure.
Change the weather.
I knew you were going to say that. All right. So we're going to play some rapid fire with the guys. Iggy, you're going to hold on to the mic here. You can ask me any question whenever you're ready. Could be any topic, any question. The whole point of rapid fire is to say what you're thinking in the moment, and I have to answer.
All right.
Anything in the world. Anything at all.
Where are you from?
Syracuse. Do you have a follow-up to that, or is that it?
I do not.
Nothing. Okay. All right. My question back to you, Iggy. If your family was going to make a pizza in your honor, what toppings would be the Iggy?
Okay, so I'd say a little bit of pesto sauce and then pepperonis on it too.
Pesto and pepperoni, is that it?
Yeah,
We're going to keep it simple?
That'd be it.
All right. Pesto and pepperoni. All right, Dylan, what's your question for me, sir?
If you were stranded on an island, what would be 3 things that you would bring to help you to survive?
Do I have food or no?
Yeah, you have food.
I have food. So I have food and water. So I have to pick 3 other things. I would pick my dog, Lily. I would have a boat. And I would have some type of knife, because I'm going to have to obviously fend off some things maybe, keep myself safe. I might have to cut some things to make a canopy. So I would have to have some type of tool, so I'll take a knife. Like a big one, though. All right. My question back to you, Dylan. Dylan, if you took over my show tomorrow morning, what 3 guests would you want to have on the show? You can have anybody.
I think my first guest would be Adam Sandler.
Okay.
I think he's a hilarious guy, and he's got Happy Gilmore 2 coming out soon, so I think that guy would just be overall entertaining.
Okay.
The second guest I would have on is Matthew Needslick. He's a player on the team. I think he's a great guy. He brings a ton of energy, so I think he'd be awesome to have on a podcast.
Okay.
And then the third person I would bring on is my dad, a.k.a. Pumps. he's got some, awesome things to talk about. Love getting in good conversations with him, so I think he'd make a great guest on the podcast.
You said your dad's nickname is Pumps?
Yeah, it is.
Why?
Yeah, it's just something my dad and my mom have been calling each other for a while, so
Okay.
the nickname kind of stuck, and I kind of feel the responsibility to carry on the legacy, so I
Keep it
started
going.
calling him that as well.
All right. So you guys get one more question. Iggy, you can ask me first.
What sports did you play growing up, if you played any?
I played baseball for a little while. I played basketball most of my life and got recruited D3 to play basketball. So
Where at?
Marywood University, which is where I ended up. So, and it's where my broadcasting career started. So, yeah, Marywood. Thank you, Eric Grunman, for the phone call I never thought I was going to get. I can shoot, but I'm 5'8", so I never thought I'd get a phone call, but I got a phone call. So, my question back to you, Iggy. Iggy, if you could take one of your teammates and for $1 million, this teammate had to be in shark-infested waters for 4 hours, which teammate do you think could survive and win $1 million?
This is a clear answer. His name is Brady Garcia.
Okay. Where's he at? There he is, right here. All the guys that we're picking, they're like here or they're at that table. So why did you pick him?
First of all, he's a genetic freak.
Genetic freak, okay.
Second of all, he never gets tired. Third of all, he might be the fastest kid I know, and he's very good at swimming.
Okay. And he's very good at what?
Swimming.
Swimming, okay. All right. Fair enough. Dylan, what's your final question for me? And I'm going to have you lean forward so we can see you. Our sun is taking away half your face right now. Now that the sun's finally out in Syracuse. All right, what do you got?
If you could go on a 1-week vacation to anywhere in the world, where would you go and why?
I am going there next week. My dad and I finally are completing our promise, and we will be in Italy next week.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, we're going to Italy. So, we're going to Rome, we're going to Naples, where my dad's family's from, and then my mom's family's from Calabria. We just found out that there's a region in Calabria named Tortora, my last name. There's a mountain named Tortora, and there's a museum. So I will be going back to Italy to claim my land. That's my plan. That's my plan. All right, so my question back to you, Dylan. Dylan, so we're going to stay with the trip. If you could go somewhere you've never been, pick the place you're traveling to, you could take one person that you know, and you could take one celebrity. Where do you go? Who do you take?
So I think I would go to, it's a tough one. I think I would probably go to somewhere in England or Ireland and play one of the famous golf courses out there. And I'd take my buddy Ethan Doherty. He's back there somewhere.
Ethan, where are you? Where's Ethan? There's Ethan. All right. Ethan is the only non-blonde hair that's right here.
But me and Ethan, we golf together. We love playing golf, and I think I could get under his skin a little bit. We could have some fun out there on the golf course. And then the one celebrity that I would bring Bryson DeChambeau, and I'd have him coach us up. Hopefully we come out of the experience being better golfers.
All right, I love it. Dylan Garcia, as well as Iggy Lomedico, myself, Dan Tortora. We're here at Pizza Man Pub. We're here every month with the Bees, and the Baldwinsville Bees boys lacrosse team is what we are focusing our special on tonight. We got one more element of the special. Your teammates are coming up next. Please give these gentlemen a round of applause one more time. Show them some love.